I don't think I ever had any intention of publishing the original story, but when I was released from prison in 2010, I was given the opportunity by some family members to really work on the book and hone it down with my original editor, Chris Cancelleri, who helped me knock the length of the manuscript almost in half to where we could finally present it to readers. I'd never submitted the story to a traditional publisher, didn't know anything about getting an agent, and I really was attracted to the idea of the control you have when you self-publish. So we started looking around, and our three biggest goals were some expanded editing, a good product. I wanted a good physical book for people to read, and distribution. I really didn't care about the book ending up on a shelf at a store. I just wanted people to be able to go online to a Barnes & Noble or an Amazon and get it if they wanted to read it, which brings us to WestBow. We did do a lot of looking around, and I have a niece that loves doing research. She knew what we were looking for, and she sent me a link with WestBow's information and a handful of pretty good reviews. So I gave them a call and started speaking with my publishing consultant, Jeremy Weddle. Jeremy's a great guy. He was a pleasure to work with. And what initially separated WestBow from everyone else was the way Jeremy listened. And instead of jamming stuff at us, he listened to what we wanted. He addressed each of my three concerns, and then he made some suggestions on the best possible solutions. When we got off the phone, we continued to look for a publisher, and after around a couple weeks, ultimately no one compared to what WestBow had. And when you throw the icing on the cake that Thomas Nelson is the driving force behind WestBow, our decision was made. What I enjoyed most about working with WestBow Press were the people there and the incredible personal interest they took in helping make the story the best it could be. Once we turned the manuscript over and the production process started, I was in pretty regular contact with a gentleman by the name of Alan Bauer, who is the publisher and director of Channel Sales. Alan's expertise and guidance walked me through all the different stages of publishing, particularly the editorial process, which was very important to me. In fact, if I were asked to give advice to a new author looking to publish a book for the first time, first of all, I would say give thanks for your writing ability, have fun writing your story, have a message or messages that can hopefully have a positive impact on your readers, and trust your editors. I think as writers, sometimes we write and rewrite to the point where we almost can't see the story anymore, and that is really where you want to take it and turn it over to the expert eyes that have seen more stories than you ever will, and then make the changes I suggest. Joel Pearson and his team of editors at WestBow gave me ideas and suggestions I never would have considered, and despite originally not wanting to make those changes, we did. And we were finally pretty comfortable with what we had and decided to make 100 advanced copies to put out there to maybe create a little buzz and to maybe get some feedback on ways to make the book better. WestBow took some copies, I took some copies, and gave some to friends and family. But what I started doing was I started calling some of the biggest churches in the country, and I'd introduce myself and ask if they had any avid readers who would be interested in taking a look at an advanced copy of a book and maybe help me out with some feedback. Once I had permission, with each book, I would include a little letter basically introducing myself. I'd have my phone number, my email address, and once again, ask for some feedback. And I think on the surface, probably what I was expecting out of all the copies we sent out was maybe to get back a half a dozen replies. And we didn't get our first one for probably 3 weeks to a month. And the first response we had came from a woman out in Washington State who said she loved the book, she was looking forward to coming out, and she wanted to share it with her friends. And it was a great feeling to get that feedback. And the next response we had was from someone that worked at a bookstore inside of a church, wanting to know how they could buy it. And before I knew it, we had probably well over 200 responses from men, women, teenagers, ministers. And in some of those responses, people shared how the book affected them in ways that I couldn't believe. And those responses by themselves have changed the reason why I want to write.